Today's topic is systems of equations solving by elimination. So the last lesson we did was with substitution, and this one is going to be a different method. This is the elimination method, or the addition method, that some of you may know as well. It still is doing the same thing. We're still trying to find a point. We're still trying to find x and y, but with this way, I personally believe that it is easier to solve and quicker to solve. So once you know you have this way down, you can, whenever you have a system in the future, you can use whatever method you want to be able to solve it. Okay. So this is going to be a two-part topic, a two-video topic. We'll have this will be part one. Part two will be after this. Let's start off with some simple ones to get our feet wet. Okay. Now remember, our end goal, is we gotta solve for x and y. Okay, that's still our end goal. Okay, so we have x plus y equals 4 and negative x plus 2y equals 5. Okay, so before we would have to get a letter by itself first and then substitute it in for another one. With this one, we're going to do something, we're going to do a little different. Instead of having to substitute a letter, we're going to cancel out a letter adding straight down. Okay, so think of this, so we still have two equations, but think of this as an addition problem. Okay, and where you're just combining everything from top and bottom and going to cancel it out. Okay, so for example, with this one right here, if we're looking straight down, okay, so straight down, we're adding everything up, right? What letters can we cancel out? Okay, so we have x here and a negative x here and a y here and a positive 2y here. So we know to cancel something out adding straight down, we need a positive and a negative of the same thing. So when you look, we have positive x and negative x. When we add everything straight down, these two things, okay, cancels out. Okay, because we're adding straight down. Okay, so that and that cancels out to nothing. Now let's add everything else we can add. Okay, we have y plus 2y. 1y plus 2y equals 3y, and 4 plus 5 equals 9. Okay, so this is all one giant addition problem. Okay, that plus that cancels out. That plus that, that plus that. Okay, it's one giant addition problem. Okay, that's what we're doing, going straight down, adding everything up. Okay, but remember, the first point is to cancel out one of our letters. We did that. We cancel out the x's. Now we have 3y equals 9. Now we can just solve for y, right? Well, to get y by itself, what do we do with the 3? We have to divide it. So we divide each side by 3. That cancels, bring down our y, and 9 divided by 3 equals 3. So in our problem here, our y is 3, okay? Now, remember, now it's the same thing as we did last time, right? Once we have our letter, we plug it into one of the original problems to solve for the other letter. So we have y, we gotta plug it back in and solve for x. Now you can choose either of your original problems. I was trying to figure out which one is easier to look with. Well, if you're looking at the top one's a little easier, x and y are by itself already. So we take our 3y here, and we bring it back up here, and plug it in to our y up here, okay? So now, we rewrite this type equation, okay? X plus, instead of a y, our y is now 3, and that equals 4. Now, we just have to deduce the x by itself. So what number plus 3 equals 4? Well, we know that we minus 3 from both sides, and x equals 4 minus 3, which is 1. So our final answer is 1, 3, okay? It's quicker than the other way. It's simpler than the other way when it's set up like this, okay? So remember, adding everything straight down. That's what we're trying to do. Cancel out a letter, adding straight down, okay? Let's move on to another problem. Two x plus 2y equals 10. 3x minus 2y equals 15. Okay, so once again, we're looking for letters, x's or y's, that we can cancel out by adding straight down, okay? So we have our x's, we have 2x and 3x, and our y's, we have 2y and negative 2y's. Remember, what you're trying to find is the same thing, but one's positive, one's negative. So if you look at our y's, we have a positive 2y and negative 2y. So this is the one, we're adding straight down, that we're going to cancel out, okay? So let's do the math. 2x and 3x. Well, we know 2x plus 3x equals 5x, right? Remember, this is one giant addition problem, okay? 2x plus 3x, okay? Now, we have 2y and negative 2y. We know that that cancels. And then 10 plus 15, 10 and 15, bring down our equal sign. We know that equals 25, okay? So now we can go ahead and get our x by itself. Our last step here is to divide by our 5, and x equals 25 divided by 5, which is 5, okay? So x is 5. We can go ahead, plug that in as half of our answer as 5, okay? Now, we need to solve for y. So once again, take our letter we found here, plug it back into one of the x's up here, and solve. Now, either one, you can pick either problem. It really doesn't matter what problem you pick. Both of these problems are pretty much the same, so I'm just going to pick the top problem just because, okay? There's really no right answer of which one you want to plug it into. Just pick one. So I'm going to take my 5, it equals x, and I need to plug it in to that x right there, okay? Now I can plug it into that x, get the same answer, doesn't matter, but I'm going to choose the top one. So we rewrite this top equation, but with our 5 in place of x. So we have 2 instead of x, we write 5, and then the rest of the problem, plus 2y equals 10. Okay, so now we have our new problem here. 2 times 5 plus 2y equals 10, okay, to solve for y. So let's go ahead and solve for y. What do we do first? Well, we have this parentheses right here, 2 times 5. Let's do that. And that equals 10. Bring down the rest of the problem, okay? Now we have a two-step equation. So remember, we have to move everything away from the y. So what do we move first? Well, we move the 10 because the 10 is not attached to any letter. So 10's positive. Opposite of positive is minus. So minus 10 here, minus 10 here. That cancels. Bring down your 2y, and that equals 10 minus 10 is 0. Now, at this point, we already know what the answer is, but in case we can keep going, you divide by 2 both sides, and y equals 0. So our y is 0, and that's our final answer. Okay. So, once again, adding everything straight down, canceling out a letter, solving for that letter, plugging it back into the original equation, solving for that letter, get our other letter answer, okay? Let's add another step to it. Let's do negative 6x plus 6y equals 6. Negative 6x plus 3y equals negative 12. Okay. So, once again, looking for a letter that cancels out when you add everything straight down. Okay. Now, when you look at this one, we have negative 6x, we have the 6y, the 3y. So remember, we need the same number, but one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So if you look at our x's, we have the same thing, negative 6x here, negative 6x here. Now, unfortunately, we need it to cancel out. We can't just go straight down. This does not cancel out, okay? When you add it against negative 12x, we need it to cancel out. So what cancels out? A positive and a negative of the same number. So what can we do to turn one of these positive? Okay, well, how do you multiply, what do you multiply negative by to make it positive? You multiply negative times a negative, okay? So let's pick a top one. Let's pick a one to cancel out. Let's go with the bottom one, okay? Bottom line. Now we're gonna make this positive 6. Now how do we make this positive 6? We have to multiply it, okay, by negative 1, okay? So I'm multiplying this whole thing by negative 1, okay? Because I need to make this positive. What can I multiply negative 6 by to get a positive 6? Well, to multiply negative 6 To get positive 6, I need a negative 1, and that's what I'm going to multiply by. But I can't just multiply this. I have to multiply all the things, okay? So go ahead and multiply all the things. Negative 1 times negative 6x, we need it is positive 6x. Negative 1 times 3y equals a negative 3y. And negative 1 times negative 12 equals a positive 12, okay? So now at this point, we don't need, well, this one. So let's bring this top one, let's put it down underneath it, okay? Let's just rewrite it. Okay, so I just rewrote it down here, okay? Now, let's look here. Now we have letters that cancel out when you add straight down, and that's what we wanted, okay? So let's take, adding everything straight down, that cancels out. Negative 3y plus 6y gets us a positive 3y, and 12 plus 6 gets us 18, okay? So we're just combining these things straight down, okay? Now let's go ahead and solve. Let's go ahead and solve for y. What do we do to get y by itself at this point? Well, we just divide by 3 here, divide by 3 here, that cancels, and our y equals 18 divided by 3, which is 6, okay? So we have 6. Take our y. Now, we have many problems we can turn this into, okay? But let's pick one of the original problems to do it with, all right? So let's just go ahead and take our 6 here and plug it in to our top 6 right here, okay? So now let's rewrite this problem here with our 6 as y. And our y is 6, okay? So, rewriting the problem. Negative 6x plus 6 instead of y, we're writing 6 equals 6, okay? So, let's go ahead and solve this. What do we do first? Get rid of the parentheses. 6 times 6 is 36. Bring down everything else. Now, we have a negative 6x plus 36 equals 6. What do we do with this 36? We have to get rid of it. How do we do that? It's positive. We must do the opposite. Subtract here. Subtract here. Okay? That cancels. Bring down your negative 6x. 6 minus 36 is negative 30. And then our last step is to get rid of our negative 6. We do that by dividing here. Dividing here, that cancels, and x equals negative 30 divided by negative 6, positive 5. So our answer ultimately is 5, 6. Okay, we found y, we found y, plug that back in, solve for x, we found x, okay? So that's how we're doing this one right here, okay? It's, like I said, there's more steps. It's not harder. It's just a little more steps involved to find the final answer, okay? Let's do one more for part 1. X plus y equals negative 16. Negative 3x plus y equals negative 5. Okay, so once again, I am trying to cancel out a letter by adding straight down. Okay, now look at our letters. We have 8x and negative 3x, and then a y and a y, both positive. So, which ones would be easier to cancel out? Well, the y's, because there's only one step involved. We have to make one of these a negative. Once again, so when we need to multiply a positive y to get a negative y? Well, we just multiply it by a negative. So, let's do that. Let's multiply one of these by a negative. Let's go ahead and do the top one this time, because you can do either one. Okay, multiply top everything by negative 1. Okay, so negative 1 times 8x is negative 8x. Negative 1 times y is a negative y. Negative 1 times negative 16 is a positive 16. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and add straight down. Negative 3x and negative 8x. We add that together and we get negative 11x. Our positive y and negative y cancel out. and a negative 5 plus 16 is a positive 11. Now, last step, get x by itself. Divide by negative 11 here, divide by negative 11 here. That cancels. Our x equals 11 divided by negative 11, which is negative 1. So, we have our x, negative 1. Okay. Now remember, it doesn't matter which one you solve for first, okay? You can solve for x first or y first, doesn't matter. But the key to this one is trying to make it easy, is to cancel out one of them. And it's just, you just have to figure out which one is easier to cancel out. In this case, it was our y's. We have x, it is negative 1. Plug it into any of these equations, okay? Let's go ahead and plug it in to our second equation because we can, okay? To show you that we can. So negative 1, I'm plugging it in to that equation right there, to that x. So we're using this second one. We have a problem. Negative 3 times negative 1 instead of x is negative 1 plus y equals negative 5. Okay? So let's do our math. Multiply. Negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3 plus y equals negative 5. And then to get y by itself, this 3 is positive, so we have to do the opposite, and minus 3 here. Minus 3 here, that cancels, and our y equals negative 5 and negative 3, which equals negative 8. So our answer, negative 1 as x, negative 8 as y. Okay. So that's it for part 1. In part 2, we'll be doing a few more complicated things that involve a few more steps.